3 years ago, if you wanted to understand the global economy, you needed to understand economics. Today, you need to understand geopolitics. Wars are moving oil prices. Governments are deciding where semiconductor factories get built. Artificial intelligence has become a national security issue. Shipping routes are being redrawn. Countries are stockpiling critical minerals. Even electricity has become a geopolitical asset. At first glance, these seem like completely unrelated stories, but they're not. They're all connected because the economic model that built the modern world is quietly being replaced. For 40 years, the global economy optimized for efficiency. Today, it's optimizing for security. And once you understand that, everything else suddenly starts making sense. So this is the great fragmentation. Now let's look back at the world we used to live in. For most of my lifetime, globalization felt inevitable. Every year, supply chains became longer, trade became freer, technology spread faster, manufacturing moved wherever costs were lowest. Nobody really questioned it. In fact, economists almost treated globalization like gravity. It simply happened. The logic was beautifully simple. If China could manufacture something cheaper, manufacture it in China. If Russian gas was cheaper, buy Russian gas. If Taiwan made the world's best chips, build your products around Taiwan. The market would take care of everything else. And for decades, that worked. Global poverty collapsed. Inflation remained low. Consumers became richer. Businesses became more profitable. Everybody won, or at least that was the theory. But then something changed. Not one event, not two events, but hundreds. First, Russia invaded Ukraine. Europe lost its cheapest source of energy. The US began restricting semiconductor exports to China. The Red Sea became dangerous for commercial shipping. Iran demonstrated again how risky and vulnerable the Strait of Hormuz remains. Artificial intelligence suddenly became the most strategically valuable technology on Earth. Individually, none of these events ended globalization, but collectively, they changed how governments think. And that may be the biggest shift of all, because governments stopped asking, what's cheapest? Instead, they've begun asking, what's safest? That sounds like a small difference. It isn't. It's enormous. Now, let's look at a CEO thought experiment. Imagine you're running one of the world's largest companies. Now, 10 years ago, your board meetings probably focused on labor costs, shipping costs, foreign exchange rates, factory productivity. But today, the questions are completely different. It's about what happens if China invades Taiwan? Can our suppliers survive sanctions? Are our AI chips subject to export controls? Could shipping through the Hormuz suddenly become impossible? Do we have enough electricity for the next AI data center? Now, those are economic questions. They are geopolitical ones, which means geopolitics has become part of corporate strategy. Now, there is an invisible tax. One of the words you'll hear constantly over the next decade is resilience. Governments love it. Companies love it. Investors love it. But resilience is not free. If your company builds one factory, that's efficient. If you build two factories in different countries, that's resilient. If Europe imports the cheapest gas, that's efficient. If Europe buys more expensive LNG from multiple suppliers, that's resilient. If America imports every semiconductor, that's efficient. If America spends hundreds of billions of dollars building domestic fabs, that's resilient. Do you notice something? Resilience costs money, which means the next era of globalization may be safer, but it will probably be more expensive. Now let's come to AI, because AI changes everything. Most people think AI is about software. I don't. I think AI is becoming an infrastructure story. Every breakthrough model needs electricity, chips, cooling, data centers, power grids, transformers, critical minerals, natural gas, nuclear power. And suddenly, the digital economy becomes physical again. And physical assets have locations. Locations have governments. Governments have interests. That's why I believe AI is just not another technology. It's becoming a geopolitical infrastructure. And this is why energy matters more than ever. This is where I think many analysts miss the bigger picture. Every major geopolitical crisis eventually appears somewhere in energy markets. Ukraine rewrote European gas. Iran reprices shipping insurance. The Strait of Hormuz changes oil volatility. AI changes electricity demand. Critical minerals reshape mining investment. Energy is not reacting to geopolitics. Energy is becoming geopolitics. So who wins? Not every country loses from fragmentation. Some become more valuable. The Gulf, because energy security matters again. India, because companies want alternatives to China. The United States, because reshoring accelerates investment. Countries with reliable electricity, stable institutions, and trusted supply chains, they may become the biggest beneficiaries of the next decade. So what does this all mean? History rarely announces itself. People usually realize decades later the world has already changed. I think we're living through one of those moments right now. Globalization isn't disappearing. Trade isn't ending. Technology isn't stopping. The world is simply changing the rules by which all of those things operate. The age of efficiency is giving way to the age of resilience. Security is replacing cost. Politics is reshaping markets. And the countries, companies, and investors who understand that shift early may be the ones who shape the next global economy. Because the biggest story of the next decade won't be the end of globalization. It will be what comes after it. Thank you for